Welcome to Pario Magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by an Australian wrestler who has recently returned from their first wrestling tour of Japan. Welcome to Pario Magazine, Kid Valiant.
Hey, how is everybody? How are you? How are you?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very nervous. I haven't been on a podcast in a few months, so it's a complete honor to be on here. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. So, we're here today to chat about your journey through the world of pro wrestling and obviously the recent tour of Japan. Before we dive into that, though, do you want to give our audience a little introduction as to who Kid Valiant is away from the ring?
Ah, I've actually never been asked this question before, so when you just asked me now, it was a little bit, it's come across daunting. Kid Valiant outside of the ring is a 21-year-old. I take a lot of pride in helping others, and that's all I've ever grown up with. My first job was at a trampoline center, so helping little kids learn how to do flips or just hosting birthday parties. It's always been something that's been engraved in me. So I believe I've taken that into the wrestling world. But that's how I am outside of the ring. I'm also secretly a theater kid.
Mhm.
I love my musicals. They're awesome. If I've ever able to take on the chance to perform on stage again, I believe I will. I did it throughout primary school. I actually got my qualifications as a screen actor. I did my certificate three there. I also did a scholarship with Melbourne Theatre Company. So there's a lot people don't know about me. So that's why that question came across a little bit scary because they see me as this flamboyant kid, and then in reality, I'm just someone that likes to help people and likes to perform.
Okay.
So I guess in ring, you can see that as well as outside of the ring as well.
Yeah, it sounds like all of your sort of outside ring stuff is feeding back into the ring, like obviously connecting with people, and then the theater is a big part of wrestling as well, the performance aspect.
Yeah, most definitely, and I think that's what really enticed me into wrestling. It was the entertainment part and entertaining people. If I'm able to take some stress off the reality of the world and the economic state that we live in, I think I've done the right thing.
Brilliant. So when and how did you sort of first discover this passion for wrestling?
Straight up, it's got to be my dad. um, my dad used to backyard wrestle in the old house that we used to live in. So he used to tell me stories about how he used to jump off the roof onto all of his mates, and not put on little shows as such, but like a few people would come and watch out in the backyard. So it's all I've grown up knowing. My dad couldn't go to sleep without a DVD of wrestling on in the background, and obviously me being younger and him being a young parent as well, sneak into the room at night, and all I remember is the old TNA videos just going on a loop. When I'm trying to fall asleep, like he'd be dead asleep, and all I'd watch is Sting and Jeff Hardy, Abyss. I believe Curry Man was on there, Shark Boy and everything. I just remember seeing that and just seeing these real life superheroes, as people would say, just on a constant loop on in my parents' bedroom when they're asleep, and I'm like 3 years old just watching this. So it's all I've grown up knowing, and then of course WWE, Rey Mysterio especially, he was a big one. Seeing a small person overcome the odds facing big people, that was always awesome to me. Like I never saw anything like that in person until I got a little bit older. But that's always those were superhero movies before superhero movies to me,
Yep.
and that's what I think really had my passion going. And knowing that my dad loved it, it just yeah, like I said, I grew up with it, and just it all fell into place. So that's how it went. So no, it was really cool knowing that my dad did backyard wrestling and then just kept watching wrestling with me. So it was awesome.
Okay. Okay, that kind of explains how you are sort of so early, like you're young still, but you're still like quite quite accomplished in what you've done already in your career.
Yeah, it's I've been very, very fortunate. Like it was just the other day, I was talking to the CGS group about if you take away COVID years, I'm realistically only about three and a half years into my career, and I've already done a tour of New Zealand, a tour of Japan, um, and wrestled like Robbie Eagles and Samurai Del Sol. Like not many people can say that, and like I've accomplished that all before I turned 21. So that's a very, especially as an Australian, like it's very, not that it's unheard of, but like it is in a way.
Mhm.
So I've been very, very fortunate. I'm very grateful for everything that's come my way. These opportunities couldn't have happened without people wanting to give it to me in the first place. And I believe I'd like to take it and go 100%, 150% with it all. Um, but yeah, I'm still so young into my career. I'm still so young in real life as well. So it still boggles me on how much I've done, and I've still got so much to go. I don't even think I've reached my peak yet. I still feel like I got so much more to offer, and I'm just gonna show everyone that I can.
Yeah, well, like I've spoken to a lot of wrestlers, and it's, yeah, the experience thing is the biggest thing. And for you to sort of be doing so much and getting to work with people like Robbie Eagles so early is going to put you in really good stead moving forward.
Yeah, 100%. Working Robbie was a life changing thing for me in just my career and real life situation. Like in real life, I was going through like a very down period. I didn't know exactly if wrestling was something I wanted to continue to do. Um, I believe I wanted to go back into the acting part of my life, and then the Robbie match got given to me, and that's someone I used to look up to big time. I used to go to the Thornbury shows and like see him main event against like Lockie Hendricks and everything. Like those are the moments I remember. So being in the ring with him like really lit a fire under me, and I like to think I took Australia by storm in 2022. It was just yeah, something about that Robbie match made me fall back in love with wrestling, and I can't thank him enough for that. And then the praise he gave me afterwards, um, yeah, it made me really emotional. It's not that I got my flowers given to me, but it's kind of like people shouldn't overlook me in a way. I don't like I just lost my mask, so I was coming into a new character altogether. So it was a very rewarding. Yeah, I think that's the right word. It was a very rewarding aspect of my career was that Robbie match.
Yep. Yeah, I think Robbie is one of those people that will make anybody fall back in love with wrestling if they've drifted away. And like to get that stamp of approval from him, I think that puts you in high regard for the rest of the country. Everybody goes, "Oh, if Robbie likes him, then he's definitely someone we should look at more."
Yeah, 100%.
So you mentioned sort of being a theatre kid. What was it that inspired you to follow this passion of wrestling and be like, okay, I'm going to jump the guardrail and give this training thing a go?
There's one match that I remember very clearly. It was at PCW 2013. So I was actually 10. So in 2013, I was 10 years old behind a guardrail at the old Polish club in Rowville, back when they used to do it, back before they had their facility seek.
Mhm.
Danny Psycho versus Daniel Swagger for the PCW National Championship in a Christmas beatings match or a no disqualification match. Um, Danny Psycho was literally the Australian guy for me. Um, he was my favorite of all time, and of course, you got Daniel Swagger, who is the John Cena. There was a very clear vision of a John Cena versus a Randy Orton, and especially at a local level, that's something I've never seen before. So seeing that match go back and forth, and Danny Psycho going through the set, like I remember seeing that and like the stage collapsing because he got power bombed through that. That was like I want to do that. Like I want to be doing all the dumb stuff that Danny Psycho did, like all the dumb bumps, like just the the story they were able to tell with weapons, which I think lacks a lot in Australia. Um, was amazing to see. Like Psycho, the big bad guy, and then Daniel Swagger, the golden boy, chasing him. It was yeah, like I said, it was a Randy Orton, John Cena, Batman versus Superman moment for me. It was everything I really wanted to get out of wrestling was that match. And I think the big thing for me was I, people came out to try to screw out Daniel Swagger. I'm pretty sure this is the same match. This is where the ending gets a little bit muffled for me. Someone tried to help Psycho win the match, but Swagger overcame that, and then he got the job done, and that was a big the pop from that as well. That was a big moment. It's like he came, like he fought through so much and still got the prize at the end. So it was a very yeah. It was if it wasn't for that superhero theme story, and I say that a lot, it's because that's all I ever knew. Um, yeah, that was the match that made me be like, I need to figure out a way to go train. So PCW shows were the reason I wanted to go train. Unfortunately, I couldn't go train at PCW because I was still underage,
Hmm.
and like, not that I was underage, I was still under the age limit I needed to be. And then PCW Geelong opened up, and I was 2 years off, and Psycho was running that, so I desperately wanted to do that. And by the time I started popping up on the scene, Psycho had not Psycho, PCW had closed the Geelong school, and I was very fortunate to receive a message off War Machine from NAW to train at George Julio School, and I was 15. I'm small now, but like when I was 15, I was a lot
Like a
smaller.
tiny little kid.
So I'm like, yeah, legit. If you scroll through my page, you can see like I was just skin and bones, and I'm a 15-year-old bumping in someone's backyard trying to learn to be a wrestler, and then sure enough, it happened. So it was just from watching a local match really made me want to jump the barricade, get in there, and then getting a message from another local wrestler saying, "We know you want to do this. Like, we're going to give you an opportunity to do so." And I took it, and I like to think I took it well, and I did it well because I wouldn't be in the position that I am if I didn't. So yeah, PCW is a very yeah, it has a very soft place in my heart because that was the local show I used to go to all the time, and seeing Psycho versus Daniel Swagger was the match for me to really want to take it on board and be like, yeah, I want to do this.
Yep. Yeah, it sounds like from the bits and pieces I've seen of PCW, it sounds like they take it from just like the standard indie wrestling level to sort of almost like that NXT level where there's that little bit higher production. They have like a full venue and everything. And I think that is enough to sort of get people to go, oh, wait, wrestling in Australia is a legitimate thing that we could go for.
I from all the times I've worked at PCW, like just the production value in itself um, is on so many different levels. Like you said, the venue, the lights, the stage, just everything. Like Australia's very overlooked and slept on in terms of that because I believe when people think oh Australian wrestling, they just think some rinky dink high school gym.
Mhm.
Same with some of the United States in the independent fairs, like that's all they will think about. But if you look at places like a PCW or an MCW or a PWA or a Nui Pro or an RCW, just like if you think of that and their production value and their in terms of match quality, um, I like to think Australian wrestling is some of the best. And then all the times I worked at PCW, I felt like the best because they want to be the best. And I think that's a very good mentality to have. Like if you want to be the best, you have to look the best. You have to wrestle the best. You have to have the best stage, the best lights, the best facilities. And I think they really hit the nail in the coffin with that one.
Yeah, I think they are like the evolution of Australian wrestling from the sort of RSL club and like just the community hall days to, yeah, these bigger sort of theaters and music venues and PCWs like got their actual arena venue. I think just that jump in the last 5, 10 years has been crazy to make Australian wrestling look much more legitimate.
Yeah, it really has. And like, don't get me wrong, I love working in the smaller venues sometimes. It's awesome. I feel a sense of community when I do those shows. But like nothing beats wrestling on a bigger stage, um, in a music venue or their own venue. Like nothing beats that. But like, there's something about those smaller venues and those community halls and RSLs that like make me be like, ah, oh, this is how Australian wrestling was. So it's a very full circle moment.
Yep. So then you mentioned sort of superheroes a bit. Is that sort of the big inspiration for your wrestling persona?
Ah, oh, funny you asked that. So the whole Kid Valiant shtick was actually given to me. So I remember receiving a message. I won't say from who, but it was from a promotion called Premier Pro Wrestling. They're not around anymore. Um, Asking if I would like to wrestle, and I'm 15, turning 16, so I'm like, yep, like get me in that ring. I had ideas already in mind. I was all ready to go, and then they hit me with the question. Not hit me with the question. They hit me with the statement saying you have to wrestle in a mask. I did not want that at all. And I've openly said that to a lot of people. I did not want to wrestle in a mask. Um, Not that I felt like I was better than masked wrestlers, because being in a mask sucks. Like I praise all the luchadors and praise everyone that has wrestled in a mask their whole career, especially a full face one. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I did not want a mask at all. Um, but I reluctantly agreed to it because I wanted just to get into that ring and I just wanted to kickstart my career, which I probably shouldn't have that early, but I just did anyway.
Mhm.
Um, And then he was like, "Oh, what do you want your name to be?" And I'm throwing out ideas. They weren't really being the same energy wasn't really being reciprocated. It was a lot of not critiques. It was just a lot of nah, like think about it this way. It was just all feedback, which 16-year-old me didn't like. Like I'm not going to listen to someone like I don't know this person, so I didn't really listen to him. And then I came to a stop where I'm like, I don't know. Like I really don't know what I want to call myself. And then he was like, "How about Kid Valiant? You know, it's like it means courageous and everything." And I was like, "You know what, man? I just want to get in the ring. I'll take it." And it kicked off from there. And the superhero thing comes back now because I didn't know what to do as a masked wrestler, and there's not a lot of masked wrestlers in Australia. So and at this time, Marvel era was really in its peak.
Yep.
Um, and I'm a Marvel fanatic. Like I got Deadpool tatted on my skin. Like that's how much I love Marvel. So I ripped it off. My first gimmick was a superhero. I called myself Melbourne's Mask Marvel. I came from the Melbourne cinematic universe. Like I really took inspiration from that. So my first gimmick was a superhero. I tried to not save the day, but be that little. I'm trying to think of someone who's small that this is a very out of pocket person, but like someone like Ben 10, like this like little kid trying to like save the day and overcome these big bad dudes. So I felt like I was Ben 10 in this situation. And when I put the mask on, I turned into one of these little green aliens, and I'm just like fighting all the bad guys. So that's how I took it. So the whole Kid Valiant persona was given to me, but the whole Kid Valiant look, the attitude has progressed throughout the amount of years I've done. Like um, when COVID had happened and the promotion where I was NAW was out of it was out of action for a while. DMDU popped up, and by this stage I'm about to turn 18, so I'm in like a different mindset than I was 2 years previously. DMDU gave me the opportunity when I was fresh 18, like literally the day after I turned 18. DMDU gave me the opportunity to go wrestle. I wanted something that related to the audiences at DMDU, but related to a lot of different audiences that watch wrestling. So I became the psychedelic. Um, I wore I wore like these dark pair of jeans, like a leopard print, multicolored leopard print on the back. And then in the later year of the psychedelic character, I wore a white mask. I had white jeans with the whole leopard fur print. I was trying to do something a lot different than a lot of other people doing. I was doing logos that were all drippy. it looked like it came out of the sewer or something like that. Like very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles inspired, just with like the pink and the blue. Like no one was really doing that either. So I was really trying to stand out
Yep.
by doing that. And then I lost the mask, and that became the Skylord era, especially after the Robbie match. And to me, the Skylord era was overcoming all obstacles ahead of me, whether that be for championships or trying to break into other promotions. It was very, what's the right word? It's very, yeah, it was just very over. Like I was trying to overcome everything. That was my real super. Like I did the superhero gimmick, but this was my superhero moment, trying to showcase my talents to the whole world. And from that, I went to New Zealand,
Mhm.
and then from New Zealand onwards, I started dwelling more on in quotation, a darker place. I became the young goat, and the young goat was a cocky 19-year-old kid who didn't care what any authority figure said, anyone that's bigger than him, what they were trying to relay onto him. He did not care. He walks, talks, and acts like how he wants. I came out with a vape. People don't like that, especially older people. They don't like that. So I'm going to do everything to make people hate me. I cussed a lot. I probably shouldn't have cussed a lot, but I still did it because no one liked that and I didn't care. And now the young goat character's turned into more of a Derek Zoolander type. I've evolved from this street cred to now I'm like, nah, I'm a gorgeous person. Like all I care about is like myself. Like what I think. I don't care what others think. Now it's time to be self-absorbed. So that's how the personas came across, and that's how it from something that was given to me. I like to think I've done very well with it. Um, it's I don't think a lot of people could have done what I've done. It was a very, especially being a mask to unmask, it was very, very hard. And I've had a lot of help with me. I've had CGS, I've had my partner Rochelle, I've had my dad Papa V. Like I've had a lot of people really help me grow this persona of what Kid Valiant is.
Yep. Do you look at someone like Chris Jericho for inspiration on that sort of reinvigorating, reinventing yourself every little while?
Yeah, Chris Jericho, like he went from the WCW Lionheart, was it?
Yep.
I believe it was. Yeah, Lionheart to the Y2J, which was the rip off of Y2K, and then and to now the Rock Star, and to like all these other gimmicks that he's done. So yeah, Y2J was definitely one of those people that had progressed with his characters. I also like to think Jeff Hardy was one of them as well. Like you see his work in WWE, and then when he came across the TNA, it was a lot different, and his style changed a little bit, especially when he did that little heel stint with Bischoff. And that's where I took the young goat inspiration from. Like he used to come out lighting out cigarettes. Um, it was the same with Truth when he turned heel in 2011. Like he was lighting up cigarettes and all that. That's where the vape came in, and that's where I took inspiration from with the vape. I was trying to do things that people hated, and people hated that. So why wouldn't I take that?
Yep.
But yeah, Jericho was one of them. Hardy was one of them. Truth was definitely one of them, and I think he was a very underrated pick. I don't think a lot of people know that I took inspiration from him. So there you go. But yeah, Jericho was a big one, most definitely.
And you meant like you started in the mask. Looking back, do you now sort of look at that and go, "That was a good thing"?
Yeah, yeah, I really do. It took me a long time to really appreciate what that mask did to me. So the person who trained me, Jason Crusher Cole, um, I would constantly ask him, "Oh, is it time to take the mask off? Can I take the mask off? Can I take the mask off?" And he kept saying no. He kept saying no, only to realize it was a brotherly protecting me. It was protecting me from the business because like I had such a baby face, and I was like covered in acne, like big time covered in acne. I was still going through changes from being a kid to actually being like a grown adult. So it was a protection, because no one was going to believe a 16-year-old kid doing all these things, and then only like if I came out unmasked as a 16-year-old back then, like covered in acne, like no one's going to believe in believe in that at all. Like we're here to suspend disbelief, but like you have to have those real elements in it, obviously. And if they saw me come out skin and bone, they're gonna be like, "Oh, this kid's gonna die."
Yep. Yep.
Like it's simple as that. So it was I've actually really grown to appreciate the mask and how it's helped my career. I think without the mask, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in at all. I like to think without the mask, I wouldn't have got any opportunity. So as much as I hate to admit it, the mask has done me wonders. And the mask was my career, and I just got to really cherish those moments because I don't think I'll ever get them back again. Like I like to think I might one day put the mask back on, but from the way things are looking, I don't think I ever will. So I really got to just cherish those 1 to 2 years of being in the mask because it's helped me out so much.
And I guess it sort of gave you like an inbuilt story right away when you took the mask off. I was like, okay, I'm a fresh new person. I've got a story to build off now.
Yeah, 100%. And I think taking the mask off and pursuing a new story was a lot harder than what it was with the mask. Um, I thought wearing the mask was really hard, but taking off the mask, like there's so many unmasked wrestlers in Australia. Like what makes me stand out from the rest? Like I have to do something that makes me stand out. So that's why I kept dyeing my hair.
Yep.
Like no one was doing like that Jeff Hardy dyed hair look, from what I knew anyway. And I was ripping off some more Marvel aspects. That's why I called myself the Sky Lord. It was a rip off of Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Lord. Um, so yeah, I felt as if taking the mask off was more of a challenge than it was having the mask because at least with the mask, I was different from a lot of people. And when I took off the mask, I had to show why I was different. And I think that was more of a challenge than it was with the mask.
Okay. So then moving to the Japan stories, as we mentioned, you recently did your first wrestling tour of Japan. What was it about Japan that made you want to go there over, say, somewhere like the UK or the US?
A lot cheaper. um, I don't know. It was really, there was something about Japan, especially as a kid, um, that's always enticed me. I don't know. It was like all the bright colors, the LED, and how like futuristic they were. Um, I used to call my grandparents in the middle of the morning, just being like, "Oh, I'm going to wrestle in Japan. I'm gonna go wrestle this person at this place," and I'm like 8 years old. I don't know what I'm on about, but I've always been like, "I'm gonna go wrestle in Japan," and that's always been something that stuck to me. And when I was introduced to like your new Japan, your old Japan, your DDT, I was blown away and I was like, that's something I need to do. And that's something I really want to accomplish, especially when I was so young, saying things I didn't know what I was saying. It's just really stuck with me. So when given the opportunity to go to Japan, I had to take it. it I don't know how to explain why I chose that over the USA or UK. Like I will definitely go to those countries. Don't get me wrong. I'm actually trying to plan to go to that hopefully by the end of this year. But I don't know. Japan has always stuck with me since I was a little kid. So I had to do it. Like I couldn't not do it because there was going to be a part of my body that would have been like, you got given the opportunity and said no to it. How dumb are you? So it was a very, I think the inner child in me is smiling. So I think that's a big reason why I did it
Yep.
and why I chose that over the USA and the UK first.
And I guess these days with people like Robbie, Hartley Jackson, Chris Weiss, all sort of making a name in in Japan, it makes sense for Australians to go there because it is closer. There is that sort of connection with the promotions now, so it does make a bit more sense than going all the way to the other side of the world for the UK or US.
Like, don't get me wrong, there are people like your Brooksy, your Slex, your K Menard, your Mick Moretti, who's like helped pave the way in the states. But like as you said, Chris Weiss, your Hartley Jackson, your Robbie Eagles, and of course when like our guest, our brother in arms, Will Ospreay, who came down here and then went over there, like they've really paved the way for us Australians to go be like, hey, this is possible. Like to go to Japan, like even if it's on the smaller federations, like it is possible. Like look at the success we've done. Like it is a potential chance that you can have the same success as us. Like there's no guarantee, but there all definitely is. So I think after the Robbie match, that really being like, yeah, I gotta get to Japan. Like that was a very big like I have to get there. Like I don't care how long it takes. Like I gotta be there, and I did. And wow.
And where did you sort of wrestle when you were over there? There was a few different promotions, I think?
Yeah, so I wrestled on Taka Michinoku's promotion, Just Tap Out. I was a part of their junior heavyweight championship tournament. So I wrestled at Shinkiba first ring for them. That was a long day. I wrestled for it's called Ocken Mat Pro. It's like a Mat Earth, like no ring show in like some little restaurant. Um, and then I wrestled for World Underground Wrestling at Tudican at the toy shop in a 3 by 3 foot ring with chains instead of ropes. So I wrestled at those three places. And because I was only gone for about 2 weeks, I missed the opportunity to wrestle for other places. But I'm wanting to go back to Japan anyway, so who's to say I won't wrestle there?
Yep.
But I wrestled for 3 different promotions. I had one, two, three. I had four different matches, so it was awesome.
Did you have a sort of favorite match, opponent, or show from the tour?
Yes, I did. I actually have it written down so I don't butcher the pronunciation of names. So it was World Underground Wrestling. It was the last match of the tour. It was myself and Keita Yanu versus Harry Duck from Perth, who's very underrated, and Naoshi Sanu. So it was a tag team match, and like I had the most fun. I like to also think it's because Harry spoke English and it was easier to
Yep.
translate. But even wrestling Naoshi and having the moments that I had with him in the ring, it all just flowed really well. And the whole point of World Underground Wrestling is like you only plan to finish. Everything else is on the fly. And then being a gaijin, as the Japanese would say, being a foreigner going over there and not knowing how to communicate and just learning that wrestling really is a universal language. So that match really opened my eyes in terms of how you can wrestle without speaking, and that was the most fun and the most rewarding match I had there. Like the Shinkiba match was really awesome. I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not going to even try. Um, Wrestling at Shinkiba was awesome simply because it's Shinkiba, but this this tag match really showed me the way of wrestling, and I've never appreciated wrestling in that regard until this tag match.
How was that sort of language barrier for the entire tour?
I was freaking out. I was very overwhelmed. Like I was already very overwhelmed with the whole uh difference of culture. But like going to the ring and trying to plan like a 10-minute match or like a 5 minute match with an opponent who doesn't speak a wink of English, and like you're trying to be like, oh, grappling, you're trying to like show them moves and they're just looking at you with a dead face and you're like, oh, this is gonna be really hard. Thankfully we had Ichi from Tasmania with us who speaks Japanese, so he helped us a lot. But it's also in the moments where we didn't have Ichi, it was very we had to figure things out on ourselves, and I think if it wasn't for us trying to, if we had Ichi's help throughout the whole thing, I think the experience would have been taken away from us.
Yep.
So with the language barrier and trying to overcome that, it was a very rewarding aspect. And like I said, wrestling's a universal language, and I learned that by having opponents that didn't speak English. Like my first match, um, he tried to explain what his finish was, and I was just like shaking my head. No, I don't understand what you mean. And then shows me a picture of a torture rack, and I'm like, oh yeah, really good. So like if you speak a little bit of broken English, or if you say what the names of the moves are for the most part, it was easy enough. But other than that, it was a bit of a struggle. But I like to think by the end of it, I got used to it, and so when I go over, I'm going to learn a bit more Japanese, hopefully. But if not, you got Google Translate that'll help you. And I learned that for communication, just in general. Like Google Translate is one of your best friends.
Yep. Yeah.
So it was awesome.
Thank God for modern technology with the translation, able to just immediately pull up a move or anything on YouTube.
Oh man, I couldn't imagine what like people like Vixen and Mad Dog had to do back in like 2007, 2008 when that technology wasn't really modernized or just with the world at that time. So I'm very, very fortunate to be in the position where we had the technology to help us. Like I had to pull up a few of my moves to show people, like this is what I do. So back then I would have had to just like, I'll see you out there, and what happens happens.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm very, very lucky in that sense.
And then, so there's been some discourse online over the last week or so about Australian wrestlers getting out of Australia to sort of learn and expose themselves to new audiences. How much do you feel this tour helped you grow as both a wrestler and as a person?
As a person, I like to think, um, I don't know, there's something about Japan that's really life altering and really life changing. I like to come back. I like to think I came back a better person in terms of maturity and just how my behavior is. Like I have no time for negativity or time for drama or time for any bullshit really. Like I don't have time for it. Like I just want to be happy, have a happy life, happy career. So I think Japan really took away all the negativity that was in my body and just really like pushed it away. Um, as a wrestler, I like to think I'm a lot crisper. Like I've learned ring awareness is super, super, super important. Like you're not going to pin an opponent close to the ropes, like drag them away or like positioning and everything. Like I like to think that has really helped me, and I like to also think the way I plan matches now is a lot different to what I've ever done. I like to plan matches now with a payoff rather than just spot for spot, which I think a lot of people do, which is awesome because I used to wrestle like that. And like the matches I did back then were a lot of fun. But coming back from Japan, I like to think I'm a lot wiser in the way I plan stuff and the way I protect my body and what bumps I do because 16 to 18-year-old kid Valiant would be doing dumb bumps
And bounce back
and just
totally fine.
exactly right. But now I'm like, you can have those moments, but like you have to make it make sense. And I never really understood that concept until wrestling in a foreign country. So now, yeah, it's basically the way I plan matches and the way I view wrestling in terms of like why didn't you lead up to this to make this moment a lot better? Like this could have helped. And like I like to think my feedback to others have gotten a lot better as well. I'm still very direct and very straight to the point and very honest. Um, but I think I used to come across like as a dick and like not really there trying to help, just trying to like ridicule them, which I never was trying to do. Now I like to think I'm coming across in a more sentimental value and just like offering advice in a way that would empathize with towards how they're feeling, rather than like how I feel direct about it. So yeah, it was a very life changing experience in all regards and all aspects of life. And yeah, if it wasn't for Japan, I think I'd still be a little grumpy kid.
Did you get to do any sort of training seminars during the time, or was it mainly just shows and learning on the job?
Yeah, it was mainly just shows and on the job. So Rochelle and I went for 15 days. Um, I could have easily went to Chiba where the Just Tap Out camp is, but at that stage, like it was on a little bit of a hiatus because it was that holiday season over there. So yeah, it was just all on the job. Just learn as you go. I was more there for a holiday. Just wrestling was there. Like the whole trip was built upon wrestling, but for the most part, it was a holiday.
Yep.
So I just really wanted to. It was Rochelle's first time out the country, so we really wanted to go explore and do other things. But the next time we're there, I'm hoping the next time back in Japan, I want to do at least a month to 3 months there, so I can get that training because nothing beats training in a new place at all. and you can clearly see that when other Australians come back down from training overseas, they're a lot better. And I would like to have that same sort of experience or that same sort of exposure in terms of training and come back with a new mindset and what I've learned overseas.
Yep.
So yeah, it was more of a holiday aspect, learn on the job. Yeah, training wasn't really a thing in mind. If I had gone back and I found a place that offered training within the 2 weeks that we were there, I would have probably gone to 1 or 2 sessions there. But for the most part, I was there just to do the wrestling aspect side of things.
Yep. Yeah, and if it's your first time in a country, you still want to get in some of the touristy bits and pieces as well.
Yeah, we went to Disneyland, Disney Sea. Where else did we go? Went to Ribera.
Okay.
We went to both Riberas. I don't think many people know there's two Ribera steakhouses. There's one owned by the father that's in Gatunda, and there's one owned by the son, which is the more famous one. So yeah, we went to both Riberas in one night. That was a lot of steak consumed.
Yep.
Oh, I got meat sweats. I'll tell you what. Um, we lived 10. Huh? We went to Suidabashi, so yeah, Corrigan Hall and Tokyo Dome, like your Wrestle Kingdom, your Big Japan, your Freedom. So we watched a few shows while we were there. We were a 10-minute walk from our hotel to Akibara, the Electric City.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, we hanged out with James Cray and Harry Ducks for pretty much the whole trip. Like we went to a store called Don Quijito, which there's a song called Donkey. So the store is known as Donkey, which is just a little cheap 7 level store just filled with a bunch of stuff that we would go there quite regularly, see what funny stuff is in there. Because like they have a bunch of random stuff, and I think that was really awesome. So like all the touristy things we did, but like there's a lot more than what we want to do. We went to Shinjuku, saw the cool little Godzilla on top of the building.
Yep.
That was something I really wanted to see. So we had time to be a tourist, and that was a lot of people told us like, go be a tourist, like don't be afraid to be a tourist. And I was very hesitant because I was very homesick. But by the end of it, I'm just like, oh, I want to go out, I want to do this, I want to do this, and like by the time I was feeling like that, it was about the time we were going home. So the next time we go there, and hopefully on that extended holiday, we can do a bit more, and hopefully go to Osaka as well. So that's definitely a goal in mind.
Sounds like it's kind of lit a fire to want to wrestle internationally more moving forward.
Oh, most definitely. Like Rochelle and I are planning on going to hopefully the United States this year, on the back end of this year. Depending on how things go, because it all depends on my family as well, because it's gonna be a family holiday, but it's also we're gonna take bookings there as well because we do have connections.
Yep.
Um, but it's also if the United States doesn't happen, Japan's looking very likely again. So I'm really hoping we're back overseas. New Zealand, I would love to go back to. Um, internationally, I would love to wrestle internationally full time if I could. If I could go to somewhere like the UK and do what Charlie Evans did and do like a whole 2 years there and just really train and hone my craft there, I would definitely do that. Like I have to do that. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while anyway. So yeah, international travel is definitely something I want to continue to do for however long I'm in this business for. Like I just want to do it.
So then looking ahead, what are the sort of ambitions and goals within wrestling?
So after Japan, um, man, they treat that sport like a religion. Like it's wake up, breathe, eat, sleep, wrestling, and that's what really awoken me. So like I'm back now. I'm gymming hard. I'm trying to live a healthier lifestyle. I'm trying to look the part because like that's something I've lacked. I've neglected for so long was the hard work outside of the actual wrestling, and now I'm just here to work hard. Um, just to prove to others that like I really do want this. Um, my other goals is to everyone's goal at the end of the day is to get a contract.
Yep.
I'm really happy just wrestling overseas and being one of those names in Australian wrestling that you can rely on, and who's done amazing things. Like that's something I really want to do, and something I really am happy being. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Just being a very big household name in this country, and then who's done some amazing tours. Like there's nothing wrong with that, and that's actually something I really want to accomplish. Um, I want to try to wrestle in every state this year, if possible. Um, I know a lot of people say that, but like I've come close before, and I really think I can come close again. Like I've done Queensland, I've done Victoria this year, with potential WA, Adelaide bookings, and of course a New South Wales booking, which is almost guaranteed. Um,
And then back to Tassie.
I I would love to go back to Tassie. Honestly, after the from when I went there to where Tassie is now. Sorry to go off topic. Like that just really like I have to talk about Tassie's very slept on. There's actually a lot of really good talent there. Like your Elliot Grayson, your Doomslayer, your Liam Lacey, your Ali Galvin. Like they're very slept on, and like I think TCW and Tassie wrestling in a whole is gonna like it's gonna cause an uproar soon.
Yeah,
Like they need to be viewed so people view them, please.
I think they're in that place where Queensland wrestling was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where
Yeah,
if you were up there, you knew how good they were, and it wasn't until it took a couple of people to go down, and then everybody went, "Oh, wait, these guys are really good."
yeah. I honestly think they're almost at that stage where they're going to be like the next big thing in Australian wrestling, and I couldn't be happier for them. But yeah, like just my goals in general, just live a healthier lifestyle, work hard, train hard, and just live a happy life. That's a big thing. I think wrestling takes so much on your body and your mental health. And like if I'm not happy outside of the ring, I'm not gonna be happy inside of the ring. So I've got to really do things that benefit me and make me happy in order for me to be at the best and on top of my game at all times. So those are my goals for this year and just moving forward in general.
Yep. Yeah, if you enjoy the wrestling, then you'll sort of put on your best performances and then go from there.
Yeah, 100%.
Alrighty. So finally, where is the best place for people to support you and track this creative journey moving forward?
So I only got three means of social media. I deleted Twitter because I don't like Twitter.
It
Um,
is it is a bit of a
so
mess
you
at the
can,
moment.
oh yeah, there's one thing Twitter has taught me is to be quiet and shut up. So you can follow me on Instagram at KidValiantPW as well as CGS_PW. So you can follow my individual career as well as the faction I'm in. And then I have a YouTube channel called Kid Valiant, so you can see upcoming vlogs, a lot of highlight reels, there's some matches on there, and just some random videos I've uploaded on there. And I'm planning on to do a lot more videos in the future.
Brilliant. Alrighty, we'll
But
put all
yeah,
those links there, and good luck with everything this year. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me.
thank you for having me on. Very much appreciate it.